Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Jaime Perez Show. My name is Jaime Perez, and I'm back. It's been a long time since I uploaded an episode of my podcast. Last time I did, I was on campus, and now I'm here at home in Arizona. And I guess I just wanted to upload an episode today out of impulse, really, to be completely honest with everyone. Impulse based on my reaction to the debate between the two candidates for senator here in Arizona. The debate was between Republican appointed senator, by the way, appointed, emphasis on that, Martha McSally, and the Democratic nominee, Mark Kelly. Just a brief background on the two candidates for those of you who may not be Arizona natives. Again, Martha McSally was appointed by Governor Ducey after the death of Senator John McCain. She had originally run for senator in 2018, but lost to Kyrsten Sinema, who is a Democrat. So now she's serving in the Senate and running again to maintain her seat in the Senate and to essentially replace John McCain and become the new Republican senator. Her opponent, Mark Kelly, he is really known for not just being an astronaut, but also being married to Gabrielle Giffords, who was an Arizona congresswoman who was shot in a sort of an attack, essentially, in 2011 in Tucson. Essentially, he's not entirely running on an anti-gun platform, but he is running as the opposition of Martha McSally's policy, which in reality is nothing. So to get more into detail on that, I guess the main reason I want to talk to y'all today is just McSally. It's kind of hard to put into words how Arizona politics works. We have such a huge mix of people here in the state, surprisingly enough. People typically think of Arizona as this big old desert full of nothing but like old people and beige houses. And while that may be true, there is a bustling urban population in Maricopa County that decides a lot of the, social policies that we adopt in our state. Rightfully so. This is where a majority of the people live. I think more than 60% of the population lives in Maricopa County. It makes sense that they make the shots. But regardless of the demographics of Arizona, the politics is much more complicated and strange. Arizona has this weird fetish for moderate candidates, or I guess people who really have no position and just like to sit on the fence. It seems that, when it came to the 2018 election, people were disgruntled with Martha McSally because she took such a hardline stance for conservatism and being in favor of Trump, which isolated a lot of the moderate and, more left-wing voters. And they ended up electing Kyrsten Sinema. Not because she's super liberal, because she's not. She votes with Trump. She voted with Trump 60% of the time when she was in the House. And she still does vote with him more than 60% of the time. People voted for her because, Senator Sinema was a moderate. She was very much in the middle and still is to this day. She continued this whole maverick ideal that John McCain put out, being someone who's of course associated with the Democrat Party, but not afraid of voting with the Republicans. She is what many would refer to as a blue dog Democrat, a Democrat with, of course, socially liberal policies, but conservative economic policy that comes and shines through very often when it comes to voting in the Senate. McSally is not that. As a matter of fact, McSally, she's not extremely conservative, but at the same time, she's just... If there's a way of describing her policy, it's simply a lack of a backbone, the lack of guts, the lack of any decency to have a position on some of the most pressing issues. I mean, you can ask McSally, "Oh, Martha, is it bad to kill people?" And she most likely will say something along the lines of, "Well, I believe what Arizonans believe when it comes to killing people. I am a Arizona lady, and I was in the military." That's what her answer would be. I'm not even joking. I'm not even exaggerating. Martha McSally is the kind of lady to just kind of not have a position at all And honestly, I can make the same argument for Mark Kelly, but the only distinction that he has from Martha McSally is that he has in fact taken some positions in the past, including some reforms to the police and also reforms to gun laws, right? Although he is not, as I said, entirely anti-gun, he has taken some kind of stance to provide preventative measures to ensure that we don't have as many school shootings as we see in America today. But McSally, her position is, oh, let me just do everything that people would prefer for me to do. And in her eyes, what people would prefer for her to do is follow Trump's footsteps like a duckling following Mama Duck. And I think that we can all agree that following Trump's footsteps, especially in these circumstances, are nothing but catastrophic and just politically toxic. But McSally doesn't understand that. And the fact that she doesn't understand that in a state like Arizona, where we have an obsession with moderates and we want to see more of those middle line people who only do things that are pragmatic and never have an opinion, the fact that McSally is just consistently not only failing to have an opinion, but also failing to properly exert this sort of centrist ideology is embarrassing for her, and has only resulted in, quite frankly, the wavering of her campaign. McSally's campaign isn't doing well. It hasn't been doing well for a long time, and as of now, I'm very sure that Mark Kelly is leading in the polls by double digits at this point. McSally has been unpopular since the very start, and the fact that the Republican Party continues to support her and support her stances and her more like the lack of stances and the lack of policy is embarrassing for them. And if anything, it disenfranchises the whole political party, the whole GOP system here in Arizona, and it just helps turn Arizona more blue. And at the end of the day, I think it's important to consider that for those of you who may be listening outside of the geopolitical scope of Arizona, I want you to understand that you're lucky to be in a state where you elect politicians who actually have a position. I think about states like Illinois with Governor Pritzker, who legitimately tries to have a position on things in life. I think it's states like Michigan with Governor Whitmer, who actually takes a stance on the choices that are presented in front of her and makes it very clear what those decisions are, And outside of state politics, I'm looking at your senators as well. I mean, you look at senators from the state of Massachusetts, Elizabeth Warren, Ed Markey. We love him, Here in Arizona, we admire senators like that to some extent, because although we do like centrism and we feel comfortable with the fact that we have senators who kind of bend at our will, it's also nice and refreshing to see politicians across the states who legitimately care about the people and truly act on behalf of the people. That's the ultimate goal of Arizonans, right? We don't want to just have a politician who does whatever we ask, but a politician who also understands what the good of the people is without us having to tell them all the damn time. And of course, while we can't guarantee that that's going to happen with Mark Kelly, right? That he's just going to, do what's in the best interest of the people of Arizona all the time. At the very least, we have an opportunity there that we don't have with McSally. Mark Kelly is, quite frankly, one of the only possible choices that we have to replace, McSally as someone who can take a stance once in a while, a logical and smart stance, right? Not something that has to completely align with partisan politics, but something that at the very least will benefit the people of this great state. Because although, and I know my friends will probably call me out on this, but although I do bash on Arizona all the damn time, I do love it here. And I think it's a fantastic state. And to see the destruction that polarization and partisan politics has brought to this state is disappointing. And it's refreshing to see a candidate like Mark Kelly who's going to stray away from that and actually consider what the people want instead of what the party wants. It's a very powerful kind of message that he's sending out. And honestly, I'm looking forward to seeing what he does in the Senate, because it's pretty much secured and set that he's going to become our senator. And I can't wait to see senators like McSally, all those McSallys across this United States in this election lose their seats because they have no backbone. In a country like the United States, you can't run for office and you can't be elected into office if you won't have any damn guts. And unfortunately, Martha McSally never learned that. And hopefully this is a good old wake-up call to all the other politicians across the states, both Democrat and Republican, who have absolutely zero guts to take on the issues and legitimately be working in the interests of the people. I'm sorry that this was literally just a massive rant on my behalf. It was quite frankly me just kind of rambling on for 11 minutes somehow. But I'm really happy to be able to at least say something and put it out there on a platform. I should try to upload more consistently. I feel like I have a lot of good things to say. I should have more confidence in my opinions and be proud of what I have to say. And I'm very proud that I'm able to sit here and, have that privilege of speaking on behalf of some of the politics that people may rarely hear about. Because although these issues do more directly affect Arizona, they ultimately affect the entire United States, because a senator doesn't just work for their sole state, they work for the entire nation. And hopefully to those who may hear this podcast episode outside of Arizona, please listen at the very least to my ramble and consider that although you may not live in some of these states, some of these toss-up states, supporting elections outside of these states and being those fans essentially looking in is crucial and could really help make a change in this country. So if you're outside of Arizona but you do love Mark Kelly as much as we do, please just pitch into the cause, phone bank for him, volunteer for him, or at the very least share information about him, because you never know if you're going to have a member or a voter from Arizona in your audience. So that's all I have for y'all today. I'm going to try to upload more often. I always say that, but I never really do it. Thank you for the time. Thank you for listening if you did. And make sure to vote on November 3rd. By the way, Arizona's voter registration has been extended until I think October